London calling to the underworld. Come out of the cupboard, you boys and girls. London calling.
Welcome along to London Calling in association with Equate, the natural energy drink. Tonight we'll be joined live on the show by Armand Traore, the Senegal left-back come left midfielder. Will be sharing his views on what's been a difficult couple of weeks at Loftus Road. We'll also be speaking on the phone to James Mills, the son of Tony Mills, who was obviously the star of Tony's special day at Loftus Road on Sunday, and we'll be airing an exclusive first to be seen video from that day, which is a really awe-inspiring story, so that's certainly one to look forward to. We're also joined tonight by Andy Evans, CEO of QPR and the Community Trust, ahead of the Tiger Feet 5 walk from QPR to Charlton, or Loftus Road to the Valley. And we'll also be looking back on that 3-1 defeat to Reading, a really disappointing day on Sunday. But we'll be bouncing back hopefully this weekend against the Addicts at the Valley. And that's not all. We have got a signed shirt to give away tonight. There's a competition up for grabs to win a signed QPR shirt. And as I said, we'll also be speaking all things community. This is London Calling.
It is a natural energy drink containing only natural ingredients, fruit juices, ginseng, guarana, green tea and just a nip of natural caffeine from the green coffee bean. And there's enough fruit juice in each can to give you one of your 5 a day. Need a natural lift? Try Equate.
Guys, welcome along. Andy, welcome along, CEO of QPR and the Community Trust. Thanks for joining us this evening.
It's good to be back. It's my second appearance, so thanks for having me.
And as you said, I think this is the first time we've had a combined panel under 4'3".
We are the funny one, aren't we? Yeah, this is the small couch.
The smallest panel in the world.
Yes,
Brian, welcome along. You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. You?
Yeah, very good. Just to say, you can tweet us tonight using the hashtag LCI, or why not give us a call? It's 07557 435 710 for you to air all your views. We'll start with the competition, as we always do. Very simple, straightforward question this week, ahead of our game against Charlton this weekend, which, as I said, we'll be previewing in full in the next hour. Who scored the only goal of the game in our 1-0 victory against Charlton at the Valley in October 2007? A game that was, of course, viewed in front of the live Sky Sports cameras. We'll pick one winner at random. Just tweet us using the hashtag LCI. Who scored the winning goal at the Valley in October 2007. Now, I'm not going to give it away because I've done that on a number of occasions in the past.
But you're getting more professional as the weeks go by.
Topic of debate, as we always do at the top of the show. Would you stick with 4-4-2 or would you revert to a 4-5-1 formation against Charlton? Plenty of talk throughout the last couple of weeks about maybe it's the formation which has affected the way we're playing, and obviously the points return has been poor in recent weeks with 1 point from 9. So that's certainly an interesting one. Would you stick with 4-4-2? Or would you go back to 4-5-1, which served us so well earlier in the year? Before we get started on that, though, Andy Evans, welcome along. Appreciate you taking an hour out of your busy schedule to spend with us this Thursday evening. And without further ado, we're going to get to the crux of the matter. Tiger Feet 5 this weekend. Just give the guys that are watching that perhaps don't know too much about that, what it's all about this weekend.
Well, simply put, it's a sponsored walk to an away game, and it was the idea of 2 of our fans, Chris Charles and James Doe, who 5 years ago come and said to us, you know, we'd love to raise some money for our Down syndrome team, the Tiger Cubs, and maybe walking to an away game was the best way to do that. So this is the 5th effort. We've been to Crystal Palace, Watford, Arsenal and Tottenham, and we've raised £28,000 on those 4 walks. And we want to get to £10,000 this time.
So 28,000 by my calculation, plus the 7 that we've already raised. So we're through the 35,000 barrier. If we could push it up towards 40, and as you say, raise 10k between now and the weekend, and I think the Just Giving page is going to be open for 2 months after the event as
That's
well.
right,
so
yeah.
We're well on track, and the money goes to the team. And it influences what they do directly.
It does. Basically, it helps us pay for all our costs, which, you know, is coaches, venues, kit, equipment, and trips and special experiences for the young Tiger Cubs as well. So if we can get to that 10k, it'll be a great achievement. So, you know, if people can really support all the walkers, there's 40 of us walking from here to the Valley on Saturday. So please support them.
It'd be great if everybody that was watching tonight could donate £5, £10, anything you can give will make a big difference. If we can get to 8,000 by the end of the show, if we can imagine raising £1,000 over the next hour.
Absolutely.
I tell you what, if we raise, I'm going to say this on the record, if we raise £1,000 in the next hour. Brian
I don't know what I'm
Melzak
going to be doing.
next week will be dressed as Spark the mascot. Happy?
That's got to get
I'm
a few in.
happy. I'm happy.
And Brian is still to donate. I mean, he keeps promising, as he always does. Myself and Andy are obviously walking as well. So
yes.
you're really
I've already
pitching?
donated, so you'll all be
If that
behind.
does happen, we have to get a new suit made because I don't think Brian would quite fill it.
Yeah, a
Well,
mini
maybe you can
Spark.
stand on my head.
Yeah, we'll get a mini Spark. We'll
You're
go
quite
back.
one to crack jokes, aren't you? Eh?
We'll go back to that later in the
Is the cushion
show
okay? Good.
when we're talking in detail about the Community Trust. Obviously, it's the 20th year of the Community Trust as well. But without further ado, let's harp our minds back 5 or 6 days to what was a really disappointing afternoon against Reading.
London calling.
Good direct running from him. It's come to Williams. Lafondra. No offside flag. Scooped up for Williams! And Reading have that first goal inside the first 10 minutes.
What a wonderful, wonderful team goal. Those games, they have got that fighting quality that you need.
Here's Traore. Positive run from him, and that's a really good ball in. Didn't Gorks do well. Hoylett. Still Hoylett. Oh, he's threaded it through to Keane. And Doyle! It's 2-0 for Kevin Doyle, and the former Royal has done the job for QPR.
Well, maybe we've just seen why Nigel Adkins is excited on the one hand, but frustrated on the other.
Surely the same thing's not going to happen here. Well, he wouldn't bet against it now. Here's Junior Hoylett. Able to get the cutback, and it's off the outside of the post. Goodness gracious me, so nearly an own goal.
Well, there you go.
Really good whip and just rattled the roof of the net. So in front of the visiting Reading fans. That's Pearce! Well, Alex Pearce, who may well not have been playing in this game if his ban had stood. He's having a completely new squad in for this season, having to make all the changes that inevitably come with relegation. To be coping well. Oh, what an effort that is! What a goal by Gareth McClary! Where on earth did that come from? It's a classic!
Well, Benoit Asuakotu, hands on hips.
Here's Williams, who's set Reading on the way. He's lost out here to Asuakoto. Doyle peeling away. Here's Hoylett. Oh, that's looping towards the far post. Just needed a touch. It was Doyle coming in, looking for a second. But he couldn't.
London calling to the.
Don't like watching those highlights back. It was a
Too long,
disappointing
those highlights.
afternoon.
Should have been 30 seconds, and that should have been enough.
What was your overall assessment, Andy, as a boyhood QPR fan who has obviously served the club for 20 years? It's a bit of a rough patch at the moment, but plenty of football to be played. But just pinpointing Sunday's game, at 1-0 at half-time, you would have thought Rangers got the initiative here and they'll go on and perhaps win the game. But to be fair to Reading, they started the second half like a house on fire and really took the game to us.
They did. I felt in the first half there was a period when we could have got away from a little bit and taken control of the game, but you know it was a disappointing second half. You know the way it panned out in the end, but even saying that, you know that Doyle chance at the end there, if he could have got something on the end of that, you know we might have got something out of the game. But I think it's important that there is a long way to go, and all you can do is focus on the next game. I think we've got to be careful we don't try and get too far ahead of ourselves and start looking at April, and what's happening there and what the other teams are doing. Let's just concentrate on what we're doing, the next game. That's all you can think about.
Formation, not so much formation. Team selection has changed a lot over the last few weeks. There were 3 changes to the side for the weekend. Just looking at here, Keane came in for his debut, and Hoylett and Traore also came in for starts. Brian, were you surprised with the lineup, or did it fill you with excitement? Because on paper it was a very attacking team.
It filled me with excitement, but again, being QPR fan, there's always an element of apprehension when there's a slight change of formation. I think we've been tinkering maybe a bit too much with the formation.
Do you think that's an issue? Sorry to interrupt there, but often on Twitter this week I've seen people saying Harry doesn't know his best team.
I don't think he's given his best team a chance to actually play, because players are in, players are out.
Injuries have played a part.
Yeah, I mean they do play, and that's one thing you can't avoid, injuries. But you know, sometimes a player is playing and then the next minute on the bench, and then you don't see them for the next few weeks, and suddenly they're starting in the first team. So I don't know really what's actually going on down there. And you know, you talk
AJ and O'Neill, for example, who both started.
Absolutely, you know, and
then weren't in the 18. I think both had minor knocks, but I think that just serves to reiterate the point.
Unless you're told they have minor knocks, you know, the fans out there will just look and see the starting lineup and say, well, hold on a second, here today, not here tomorrow, and then back again. And they don't know there's an injury, and we don't know there's an injury. You wonder what's actually going on the training field.
One player who has done well, has made a good start to life at QPR, is Kevin Doyle. That's 2 in 3 now, or 2 in 2 home games. Been impressed with him early on?
I have. He's clearly very, very experienced. He's obviously, you know, had a couple of difficult seasons at Wolves whilst they've fallen out of, you know, 2 divisions. But it's clear he's got pedigree. I think he's just been called back into the Ireland squad as of today. To me, he looks like a natural goal scorer. But I think the attribute that really impresses me most is his work rate. He just really works hard, you know, for the team. And if the chances come, he looks like he's going to take them.
And he has, obviously, missing Charlie Austin was always going to be a big blow. And Matty Phillips, who, despite only scoring 3 goals, was our second top scorer. But it looks like Doyle will get goals. But it's up to the others in midfield to help out.
And he was just saying a natural goal scorer, you know, that equaliser. You know, he was naturally positioned in the right place.
Johnny on the spot, yeah.
That's right, and that's what makes him, you know, hopefully, maybe a prolific goal scorer. 2 out of 3. You can't complain on that.
People forget he's only 30 years old, so he's really at the peak of his powers as a footballer. And one thing I did know, and we spoke to him about this, I think, on Thursday or Friday last week, he said he was going to celebrate, and he did, which is rare. What's your take on players that don't celebrate against former clubs?
Well, I think in today's modern, you know, in the modern era, I think, you know, players move around quite often. But I think if you are a player who has spent, you know, a long period of time at a club, or is where you started, and, you know, I think there may be a time to not celebrate. But, you know, I think if a player's scoring for QPR, I want to see him enjoy it.
Of course you do, yeah.
Well, I mean, I was watching a little bit of Cristiano Ronaldo last night on Sky, and they were showing all the goals he scored, and the goals he scored against Manchester United, he didn't celebrate. He respected Manchester United, and, you know, there's an element, you know, the fans that have given you a lot of support and idolised you. You don't really want to shove it in their faces, and I respect players that don't actually make a meal out of scoring a goal against their own clubs. If it's away, if it's at the home ground for where they're playing, celebrate. But if you're at the ground where you used to play, then I'll, you know, sort of mellow it down a little bit.
What about that second half performance then? Because
I've put it out of my mind.
Yeah.
I'd put that whole of Sunday.
Should we do, you want to go
Let's just talk
home?
about next week, yeah. I mean, it was
all right,
it was
that's
awful.
the end of
Thank you very much.
calling tonight. Brian's had enough, so we're all off for a pint, and we'll see. No, in all seriousness.
It was awful. I mean, I just think that we went to pieces. There were times where I just felt there was no continuity between the team. There were a few little bits of banter and arguments going on, and
that was going to be one of my points, actually. There was the slight altercation between Benoit and Dunny, but whereas last year I would have seen that as a negative, I'm taking that as a positive, as you'd expect a PR man to do. But it shows that they care. It shows they care, though.
And there's obviously an element of frustration. And I'm hoping it's because they care, and I just hope it's not that the...
That was from the third goal, wasn't it, when McCleary's let fly from 25, 30 yards, and I think what Danny was probably suggesting was that Benoit should have maybe closed the man down earlier and not allowed him to get a shot away.
Yeah, but irrespective of that, you know, to make it public, you know, the opposition can see there's a weakening in you, and they can sort of take advantage of that.
So you saw that as a huge negative on the day?
I saw that as a huge negative, because we haven't seen that. Where mistakes have been happening in the game in past weeks, they've got on with it, and they've praised, they've given a bit of confidence, and I think there it's sort of just shown there may be little cracks appearing in the team in that respect.
What about the sending off? I mean, it's since been rescinded, hasn't it?
Yeah, never thought it was a sending off.
No.
Well, we were fortunate because, you know, we got the monitors in front of us, and we saw the replay straight away, and it didn't look like a sending off. And as you say, it's been rescinded, so obviously a slightly overzealous referee.
Yeah, I spoke to a shell-shocked Casper Brooks down the tunnel afterwards. He couldn't believe. He was surprised. I think that it was even given a foul. I think he'll probably looking at that tackle again. No, he was wrong there, because it was definitely a foul, but never a red card. And you don't like to see anybody sent off when they shouldn't be.
Well, last week on the show we were saying, is he going to score a goal?
Yeah.
It had to be one or the other. So
I thought he had a good game actually, Casper Gortz. I thought he was. He certainly showed what he's about.
I mean, going back to that challenge, he did clean out Hoylett. It was definitely a foul.
It was brute force more than two-footed though, wasn't it, perhaps?
Yes. Yeah, he didn't completely launch himself off the ground, so I think a yellow probably would have been about right, but red was probably harsh.
But did you notice when he got sent off, we were still playing as if we were the play team with 10 men, and we didn't take advantage of it.
I thought we created a couple of half chances later on.
Half chances aren't good enough. They have to be full chances, and we did not take advantage.
So you sound really worried tonight.
I'm concerned, because as you know, I mean,
three games now without a win.
Last night, when you looked at the scores, we were in 5th place. Thankfully, Leicester equalised, pushed us back up into 4th. But the problem we've got is, forget the top 6. If we start dropping points, which we're doing, and we're in a bit of a free fall, the teams below us, we are in a bit of a free fall. Teams are catching up with us.
I mean, you're shaking your head there, Andy. Personally, I don't see it as free fall.
No,
free fall for me would be if we were.
How many points have we got in the last?
1 point out of 9.
Well, that's not very good for a team.
How many did we get in the previous 5?
Okay,
13th and 15th.
But we're not able to beat the teams at the top. We're not beating the team. We've got 1 point against Burnley.
Yeah.
What other points have we had against the teams at the top?
No, I mean the only other.
This is worrying.
The only other team in the top 6 that we beat were Derby when they weren't in the top 6.
That's right. Yes.
Yes, it is worrying. Yeah, it is, and I totally accept your point on that. But then you look at the next 7 or 8 games. We don't play anybody in that top 6.
Well, you've got to win those 7 or 8 games.
And generally throughout the season we have done. I mean, we've only lost 6 league games all season.
It's just
worrying. It's a free fall, I think. So
when we were in 2nd place and there was a cushion between us and 3rd and 4th and 5th, there's no cushion there. There's a cushion between 7th. But if we drop a few more points and those teams below start winning, that cushion sort of diminishes.
I'm going to stop you there. We must move on because time is already running away from us. Ravel Morrison joined us this week.
Oh, great.
93-day loan, and I'm absolutely stunned we've managed to get a player of his quality to Loftus Road on the loan. I'm stunned that West Ham have agreed to let him go.
I'm so looking forward to Saturday.
I think people are looking forward to seeing him because he's a raw talent. Some people are saying there's a lot of similarities there in terms of his quality and ability with a Delta out.
He wears gloves in the cold weather.
Oh, does he?
There's similarities there.
Your views on that, Andy? I mean, he looks a hell of a talent, Ravel.
Very exciting. At this stage of the season, as you're in those games where they're tight, he could be the one that could show that bit of magic that wins us the game.
Because
he could give us that.
Even though we are struggling points-wise, we're still enjoying a lot of possession. And like I think Danny Simpson told the official website today, he's one that can maybe unlock the door for us, make the most of the possession we're getting, and create chances and score goals.
That's what we've been lacking. We've been lacking that little bit of,
especially with Charlie and Matty Phillips.
Yeah, the unexpected inspirational pass, that little. And I think he's the right player, and hopefully he's come at the right time. And we got him for the 93 days.
Let's not forget, maybe 2.5, 3 months ago, this is a young kid who many people were tipping to go to the World Cup this summer, and there's obviously been a very public falling out with Sam Allardyce. We don't know the ins and outs of that, despite certain rumours. But you look at the goal he scored against Tottenham at White Hart Lane earlier this season. I think he scored 3 or 4 goals in all competitions. He for me, is a really exciting sign. I think hopefully we'll see him make his debut at the Valley at the weekend.
And he's actually put off an operation, hasn't he? A hernia operation, so that he can actually play.
If newspaper speculation is to be believed.
Yeah, well, I believe everything I read in the Super Strawaway Sun.
You're stupid then. Anyway, moving on. Sunday was a really special day for everybody at Loftus Road, and especially for Tony Mills, a 52-year-old QPR fan who is tragically suffering with terminal cancer. This is Tony's special day.
In January, QPR supporter James Mills made contact with the club to tell us of his dad's failing health. Sadly, Tony Mills had been diagnosed with terminal cancer, and it was his son's wish to bring him to Loftus Road for one final time. With the support of Chairman Tony Fernandez and midfielder Joey Barton, the club set about making Tony's visit extra memorable, creating Tony's special day. It began with Joey Barton travelling to Tony's home in Eastbourne 3 days before our home fixture against Reading, where he gave him the surprise of his life.
Hi Tony.
Hello.
Hi mate, isn't it?
Right. You alright? We come down to see you. We've got some special day planned for you on Sunday.
Oh, right.
So we've got you some tickets to the game.
Okay.
We're hoping you can score a goal. Ollie's going to be mascot.
Yeah.
So hope we have a good day. Hopefully we can get you 3 points.
In the lead up to the game, news of Tony's special day spread fast, with Ours gaffer Harry Redknapp even taking questions about it at his pre-match press conference.
Yeah, Joey travelled up to take it to meet Tony and take his tickets up to him for the game on Sunday, and he's coming to the game on Sunday, and you know he's a special guest of the club, so we're looking forward to making a good day for him.
Accompanied by son James, daughter-in-law Laura and grandson Ollie, Tony arrived at the stadium on Sunday to be welcomed by CEO Philip Beard, where Ollie was told he would be one of our mascots for the day. Tony was then given a private tour of the stadium, where no area was off limits. Tony was in for another surprise after getting his hands on the official matchday programme, as Harry Redknapp and his all-time favourite R, Rodney Marsh, used their columns to welcome him to Loftus Road. After stopping for a quick cuppa, Tony was then whisked off pitchside for another memorable moment. A personal message from Harry played out on the big screen. And then the man himself even popped out to say hello. Tony and his family were then invited by the Ars boss into the QPR dressing room to meet the squad ahead of kick-off, with Captain Clint Hill introducing him to the team while Ollie filled his autograph book.
Alright. How are you, okay? Yeah. Good, nice meeting, mate. Nice to meet
Meanwhile, a familiar face popped out for a quick chat before getting changed. As kick-off drew near, Tony watched the players warm up from pitchside, and he even stood in the home dugout as the team came out for the match itself. At half-time, after having a brief chat with striker Charlie Austin, Tony was introduced to a packed Loftus Road and received spine-tingling support from his fellow fans. While the result might not have gone the way we would all have liked, that couldn't dampen a truly emotional day for Tony and his family. And before they left Loftus Road, there was one final surprise, as Joey popped out to present Tony with his signed match shirt. This day couldn't have been achieved without the incredible support of Tony's fellow fans. As a club, we would like to thank every supporter who helped make Tony's special day precisely that.
And I'm delighted to say we've been joined on the phone now by James Mills, the son of Tony. James, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, very good. I'm just going to ask the guys behind the scenes to turn you up slightly because I'm struggling to hear you. But let's start at the very beginning and how this idea first came up. I know you were very keen to get along to a game with your dad and your son Ollie, and it all worked out nicely, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have expected anything else, really, to be honest. I mean, such an amazing day, and like from what the club put on, it was just, it's so surreal.
Just in terms of, we won't touch on this because it's obviously the sad part of the story, but your dad was diagnosed with a tumour, wasn't he, in the centre of his brain in March 2012, and he's fighting it very well, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he was given a short term with the actual illness, and he exceeded that by quite a bit at the moment. But he's on and off with the sickness. Sometimes his health is quite good, and he's cutting around fine. But lately, just before the game, he's slowly come off steroids, and his health slowly deteriorated within a matter of a few days. But as he is now, that lift of what the club did for Saturday, it's just put him in a different perspective.
I mean, that's great for all of us here, and as someone who's lost their father to the identical illness that your dad's going through, I think a lot of praise should go to you and your family, who have been absolutely fantastic, certainly in the short time we've got to know you over the last six weeks or so. So you guys deserve a huge pat on the back, and somebody else who deserves a huge pat on the back is Joey Barton. Tell us about the surprise on Dad's face when he turned up with the match tickets.
Oh yeah, well it was basically that day I had to bypass time because my dad was getting on edge. I took him out for lunch. He didn't have a clue what was going on. And then brought him back home, and he was just getting on edge. He really wanted to go and see his other friends and stuff, and I was just postponing it constantly. And then when the knock on the door come, so I got my dad to step off. That was time to go then. And out pops Joey Barton, and just the look on his face, it just paints 1,000 words. It was truly a remarkable moment at the time for my dad.
He was shell-shocked, wasn't he? And Joey often gets a bad press for obviously previous misdemeanours, which he's held his hands up to over time. But just give us a little bit of an insight into what Joey was like with your dad, because we're lucky enough to spend time with what I often describe as a rejuvenated Joey Barton, and he was excellent with your dad and your family, wasn't he?
I mean, yeah, Joey's such a nice guy. He just seems down to earth, just laid back. He gets too much bad press, and it's things like this. He didn't have to come down. He wanted to, which was amazing. And you wouldn't get many players that would want to do that. So he deserves, massive credit for what he did. And he just made the day, the whole day from meeting him and the actual game day on Sunday, he's top man.
And the day itself, I know you guys beat the traffic. You were here 2.5 hours earlier than you should have been, which allowed your your son Ollie and your dad's grandson Ollie to go and certainly make the most of the QPR Superstore, and then the guided tour, the all access private stadium tour. That was a great start to the day.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, we got there early, and straight off the bat, we were put up, went into obviously the store, and fair play to the manager there, giving us free roam around. Obviously top marks for that, and then straight away into the actual club. Prior to actually arrangements of the actual plan, seated up in the C club, resting around, having teas and stuff. It was just remarkable how accommodating the hospitality and everything. It was just amazing. I'm still pretty overwhelmed by it still now.
And obviously the opportunity to meet Harry Redknapp and the squad as well. I mean, getting access to the dressing room, that I think it was about 90 to 95 minutes before kick-off, before obviously the real serious stuff starts with Harry's team talk and the teams going in and what have you. But talk to us a little bit about being in the dressing room before with the lads, because Clint Hill for one was certainly welcoming you in with open arms.
Yeah, I mean, straight away, once we went in the changing rooms, and personally my dad met Harry, had a sit down in the dugout with him. I mean, that was amazing. They had their own little personal moment. No idea what words were exchanged. My dad still won't tell me now. Hopefully it was a few tactics. But when we went in the changing room, Clint Hill, straight off the bat, as a good bloke he is, took hold of my dad, met him around the players, shaking hands, having a few words, even, encouraging players to come and meet up with my boy so he could sign his programme, sign the shirt. It was very, very, very warm welcome from the players.
And your young lad Ollie, he's going to expect the red carpet treatment every time he comes. I know it was his first trip to Loftus Road, and he was mascot, and he had access just about everywhere. How was his day? I'm sure he hasn't stopped talking about it.
Oh yeah, he's still, to this day now, he's over the moon. He wants to know when he's going next. He just has
no pressure on you then.
What he got is not going to be what you get every game, but he loved it. The memories that he's going to have with him forever, as well as myself. It's just amazing to, you know, share that experience with my son and my dad, you know, and he's literally just doesn't stop talking about it. He's telling his friends already, and he can't wait to go back to school so he can tell his teachers.
And obviously the day itself, I guess the result, and I've just said this to Andy and Brian who are with me tonight, the result for me paled into insignificance, given the fight that your dad's got on his hands, and obviously you and the family have got on your hands with Tony. But I know you want to say a few thank yous to people that helped get this off the ground, and really, well, the fulfilment on the day was incredible, and I know you guys are going to leave with abiding memories.
Yeah, well, basically, first of all, I'd like to obviously thank everyone within the club, you know, that made the day possible. Obviously, Mr. Fernandez himself for getting it up, starting running, Joey for making it possible to come down, deliver the tickets, spend time with myself, my dad, my family. That's a massive thank you on that part. And obviously, yourself for keeping in contact with my wife, constantly arranging, you know, dates, schedules, and basically working, you know, around what was possible and what we needed. And also, there's two other thank yous. I'd like to thank two fellow Ars fans. Chris Fitchett, he basically got up starting the charity that I was raising for my father, which was met a successful £500. So thank you to everyone who contributed to that. And also Paul Blakeborough for getting in touch with the club as well.
James, it's been a crazy couple of weeks, hasn't it, getting all this organised? But I'm sure you'll agree it was worth every minute of the planning process. And certainly on behalf of everybody on London Calling and at the club, we wish your dad all the best for the future. And thanks again to you and your family, and we'll be in touch.
Hey, thanks very much for having me. Thank you, guys.
The thoughts there of James Mills, and I know you guys were obviously at Loftus Road as you are every game, and it was, especially at half time when he went out there and he was introduced to the crowd, I'm sure there were a few tears shed
yes.
amongst the QPR faithful.
There definitely were, and as you say, it did put the result into insignificance on the day, and it was so good that he was well enough to come up for the day and experience it. Julian Pryor really touched about hearing about Tony's special day. Well done to the club and Joey Barton for everything you did for Tony.
And you'll know, Andy, as somebody who's been involved in a number of these things over the years, probably not to the extent that we pushed the boat out on Sunday for Tony, but these things are so important, not just to the local community, but the community in general.
Well, I think if you look at Tony's day in particular, and when cancer comes into a family, it consumes every moment, everyone's energy. It takes over. So that one day would have just give not just Tony but the whole of the family just a release, and you know, you could see they had a wonderful time. Those images we saw while you were talking there, you know, the whole family just having a good time, just having that break from fighting cancer.
Yeah, a really sad story, but hopefully we put a few smiles on their faces. Let's go back to the competition quickly. I know that the guys behind the scenes have already had a number of correct answers, but we'll be picking a winner at random. Who scored the only goal of the game in our 1-0 victory against Charlton at the Valley in October 2007 in front of the live Sky Sports cameras? Tweet us using the hashtag LCI. We're just going to be getting Armand Traore on the phone
Okay,
first.
before we do that, I know this is not a dedication show, but David Webber says hello to you, Andy.
There you go.
Okay.
David Webber and Andy Evans.
Brian,
we're gonna touch on this in more detail later on. 4-4-2 or 4-5-1?
4-4-2 hasn't been working too well, so I don't know if Harry's going to revert back to 4-5-1.
As I said, in a word.
I did it in 2 words.
Okay, well, there's more than 2. 4-5-1?
Yes.
Andy, 4-4-2, 4-5-1?
4-3-3.
That wasn't part of the topic of the
He
debate.
had his calculator out earlier.
I'm delighted to say now we've been joined on the phone by Armand Traore. Good evening, Armand.
Hi.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright, man. I can't hear you very well, though.
Okay, I'm just going to get the guys behind the scenes to turn my mic up slightly. Is that any better?
Yes, kind of, yeah.
Good. Despite a disappointing couple of weeks from the team, you must be pleased with your own form over the last few games.
One second, because I can't hear you well, man. It feels like, you know, you're like far from the microphone or something.
Oh, okay. I was just saying, how pleased have you been with your own form over the last couple of games? It looks like we've lost Armand Traore there. We're gonna try him again, maybe get him back on a landline or something like that. But I was just asking him the question, obviously, about his own form, and he's been very impressive, hasn't he, in recent weeks?
New lease of life for him in his new role, in his new position. And I'm glad Harry's given him the opportunity, because he gets down that wing, he flicks over that ball so well, and that's what he's good for.
Do you think he's better in a left-sided midfield role as opposed to the left-back role, which obviously Benoit Assou-Ekotto seems to have made his own?
Yes, I believe I prefer him to see him higher up the field. I think he can utilise his pace more in that position, and I think what Armand's done, I think he's really knuckled down this year and joined the group wholeheartedly and fully. And I'm glad to see him back in the side and back in the squad. And
I'm sure he'll admit this, and I know him and Adel Trapp are very good friends, but he seems to have come out of his shadow since Adel's left, and the team are benefiting from it.
Yeah, they have. They really have, and you've noticed that again on the pitch. What you were saying when he played in his left-back role, his dedicated left-back role, you could see him, though, really wanting to get up those flanks and do what he's doing. So I'm so pleased that he's actually got that opportunity now, but he's totally come out of his shell.
Let's see what the man himself thinks. Armand, we were just praising you for your performances over the last couple of weeks. You must be quite pleased with your own form at the moment.
I can hear you a little bit better. I heard the question now. Yeah, I'm quite happy at the moment. I started playing again, and it looks like Harry, found some kind of trust in me a little bit. But I'm just quite happy to just, help the team right now, and that's about it really.
Obviously, you spent most of your time on the pitch with QPR since joining from Arsenal at left back, but this left-sided midfield role seems to be one that you're really relishing. How are you enjoying playing left midfield?
Yeah, I think everybody that's been following QPR the past few years knows that even when I was playing at fullback, my main how can I say? My main game, like in my game, it's to go forward. So I'm always, very comfortable in that position. So I'm enjoying it at the moment, and the fitness is slowly starting to come back again. After not playing so much the last few months. So, I'm just taking it game by game. Really, I'm just trying to, do my best. Really.
Just looking back to Sunday, obviously a disappointing defeat to Reading. Can you put your finger on what went wrong in that second half? Because at 1-1 at half time, it seemed as though the game was there for QPR.
Are you talking about the Reading game?
Yeah, the Reading game, and especially the second half and the disappointment of that.
Yeah, obviously, I think it was a massive disappointment, if I'm honest, because I thought we were doing well in the first half. I think Reading started, quicker than us, which happens for some reason quite a lot of times. We don't seem to get off the mark quick enough sometimes. But I think we got back into the game, and at half time, I don't know, just things were starting to fall into pieces, and I think they took the game over. Mainly in midfield, there was a lot of, there were always the central midfield was always quite crowded for some reason. So I think that's maybe where we lost the game a little bit, I think.
Obviously, Harry would have had some stern words after the game. What's been worked on? What's been said this week ahead of the trip to Charlton? Is it a case of forget the defeat, forget the last couple of games, and move on now and hopefully get 3 points this weekend and start to go on another run?
Yes, 100%. I think we have to obviously take the mistakes that we've made in the last couple of games, and but we can't really afford to look to cry on our shoulders really, if you know what I mean, because Derby won on Tuesday, and now it's the pressure's on us. Now we have to go on a run of games and win really, because we can't do any less really, because we have to keep going, and we really need to win the game against Charlton on Saturday, because I believe that's a really big game, And even though they're near the bottom of the league, I don't think it's going to be that easy.
What's the spirit like in the dressing room? Because often over the last 18 months to 2 years, people have questioned the team spirit, but having certainly been in and around the squad over the last few months and again the last few days and weeks, the team spirit still seems to be there. Is that the case?
Sorry?
The team spirit, is the team spirit still good in the dressing room?
Yeah, 100%. Obviously there's been a couple of disappointments recently, but I think the team spirit is still really good. I think that that even though we lost some key players in the team, I think that the players that Harry brought in, I think they can definitely help the team. And I think Kevin Doyle has showed that already. And I think that the team spirit is still good as well, because the injured players have been around the training ground and stuff, and nothing has really changed. Really, everybody's still confident we can get promotion, and hopefully we'll go on a run now, like I said, because it's very important, and we have to take games as they come, and the next one is on Charlton, and really hopefully we can get 3 points there.
Harry's added one more name to his squad this week. Ravel Morrison has come in on loan from West Ham. Surprised a few people that QPR have been able to add a player of his quality and ability to the squad. You've trained with him a couple of times now. You excited about potentially playing alongside him?
Did you say I'm going to play alongside him?
No, are you looking forward to playing him maybe alongside Ravel? Are you looking forward to having him in and around the squad?
Yes. Sorry. Yeah, definitely. I think from what I've seen the last couple of training sessions, I think he's a player with a lot of attacking flair, and he's got a very good touch. Obviously, I think a lot of people know that. And one thing that I didn't know about him was that he can literally run quite quick with the ball, up the pitch. And I think it will be good for him and good for QPR as well. I think he'll get playing time here at QPR, and I think that it's great for QPR to have a young English player coming through like this. So I think it's very good for both sides really.
And just finally, there's over 3,200 QPR fans that are making the trip to the Valley on Saturday. What would be your message to them? Is it a case of stick with us and we'll turn the corner and we're still confident of promotion?
Yes. Well, my message obviously to the fan is that I can tell you already that the team is very, very focused on the game on Saturday, and we're definitely going there to get the 3 points. And I think that I'll speak for my colleagues as well. I think that we will give absolutely 100% into the game, and hopefully we can get the 3 points. And this is coming from the substitutes and the whole team really.
Armin, thank you very much for joining us this evening, and from everybody here, we wish you all the best of luck for Saturday.
Thank you very much, mate. Thank you.
Thank you. The views there of Armin Traore. Very well spoken, Armin Traore. We don't get to hear from him that often, but he seems to, like we said before, seems a bit of a reformed character.
Absolutely reformed. When you say very well spoken, English is absolutely fantastic, and very impressed. Totally reformed, and you could see that. You saw that even on Sunday. Was it Sunday? When was the game? Sunday, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. We don't get games on normal days anymore, do we? On Sunday, and it's been showing the last couple of weeks. But again, obviously, Harry's got a lot of confidence in him now.
Let's go back to the topic of debate. I know there's been a lot of interest on social media with this throughout the last couple of days since we brought up the point. 4-4-2 or 4-5-1. Personally, I would go back to a 4-5-1 this weekend. Andy, I think you would rather go 4-3-3.
What would be the slide scale out?
What would be your team then this weekend?
Well, it's not so much. The whole debate around the 4-5-1, because when people talk about 4-5-1, immediately they sort of view it as a negative shape. When in fact, it's quite often it's a 4-3-3, and it is very, very offensive. So I think with the players that Harry's now got in on loan, you know, particularly with Morrison arriving as well, that, you know, I think he's got the opportunity and the personnel to play a very offensive 4-3-3.
So Morrison, it may be in the hole or playing just off Doyle?
Well, I'd probably prefer to see Morrison in one of the wider areas. I would always, I mean, when we went 4 across the middle on Sunday, you know, I would always find a space for Kranjcar in my team, because I think he's a fantastically gifted footballer. But I don't think I would have him in that as one of the two in the middle of a 4-4-2. So I would certainly have him either in a wider position or just off a Doyle in the hole.
And of course there's a conundrum in central midfield now with Joey Barton serving a 2-match suspension, so you would guess that someone like Jermaine Jenas, Tom Carroll, Carl Henry, those kind of players will be
there to
competing for those positions.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see Harry's selection.
Yeah, but we've been saying this every week. It's going to be interesting to see Harry's selection.
Yeah.
And again, you know, Saturday is a major game, and obviously Harry's got to put out a team that he really feels in his heart of hearts is going to be one that's going to go out and win.
We've talked enough about Saturday. Let's focus on why we've got you here now, Andy. And before we go into detail about QPR and the Community Trust and the absolutely fantastic work that Andy and his staff do, we're just going to play this short 1-minute video just to give you an insight into some of the work the guys do overseas. That brings back great memories, doesn't it, of our time in Asia earlier this year?
It certainly does. It was a very rewarding and amazing trip, really, amazing experience.
20 years. Can you believe? I mean, there's a few greys there now, but can you believe it's been that long?
Well, everyone was congratulating us on our 20th anniversary of community work, and I wish they were congratulating me on being 20, if I'm honest. But it's been incredible journey. It's been a long journey. There's been some amazing moments in those years, but yeah, to be here, you know, 20 years on is something we should be proud of.
Talk to us about how the trust evolved, because if you look at where we are now and the reach, not just on a local level but on an international level, on a global level, and also your staff in numbers, the participants, the numbers now, how's it evolved in maybe the last 18 months or the last 5 years? It just seems to be going up and up and up.
Yeah, I think there has been the real step change was when we went to charitable status. I think that was an important moment for us, and I have to thank Amit Bhatia at that point. At that point where we were as a football club, Amit came in and was, he was really interested in the work we were doing in the local community, and he supported us fully, and he took the position as chair of the trust and continues to support us, 5 years on. So that was a massively important moment for us, and starting out 20 years ago, where it was probably mainly about just football delivery, going in, into schools and local communities teaching football. Now the range of our projects is vast, from delivering health sessions through to education programs, back to work programs for those who are unemployed.
And the one that I always think of that springs to mind is that Extra Time Club with, I think there's a guy as old as 90, isn't there? Is it a guy? They're here every Tuesday?
Every Wednesday morning.
Every Wednesday?
Yeah, every Wednesday our older people club, the Extra Time Club as they're known, they come in on a Wednesday, and they're currently doing salsa classes.
Oh, fantastic, isn't it?
You can come along.
I was going to say,
you're more than welcome.
Brian,
morning.
you can pass for that, Brian.
Wednesday morning.
But it just goes to show that a lot of people will think, oh, it's all about the kids, it's all about you know, the
but
future,
you always
the
associate
talent.
it with kids, don't you? That's the
You
thing.
do. I think you know, the focus of what we do is about creating opportunities and inspiring young people. That's the wonderful opportunity we've got and the position we're in as a professional football club. But to be here today, you know, where we've got 16 full-time staff, we have 86 at the last count sessional workers who are going out into the community every day. We're seeing 25,000 people a year across 6 London boroughs. You know, that's come a long way in 20 years.
And it's not just the participants that are benefiting, it's also the staff, because they're getting involved in life-changing projects as such, and they deserve a lot of credit as well. You said 16 full-time staff?
Yeah, 16 full-time staff. I mean, loads of people have contributed to the trust over the years. I'm seeing a very good friend of mine this evening, Peter Ryan, who was with us at the very beginning, you know, and there's been staff throughout the years who have helped contribute.
Name a few. I mean, they deserve as much credit as you guys do.
Peter was there at the time. You know, there are so many, the Stephen Quashis, the Dave Robinsons, particularly those who had QPR in their heart as well. You know, they've all contributed, and there's been many staff that have played a role over the years.
So, and it's not just here, is it? I mean, like we said, we saw the video, and I was lucky enough to cover that from a PR point of view over in Asia, and it's incredible the work you guys do over there, especially in conditions over there where, you know, most people wouldn't even think of playing any kind of sport in some of those conditions you guys taught, and then it just goes to show that the reach is there in all different areas of the world.
It is. I think that's probably been the biggest change in the last 2 or 3 years. It's been the international element, you know, particularly with the new owners as well, you know, and being back in the Premier League for 2 years as well. It just really demonstrated that we could use football and the brand of QPR, you know, to use for social development overseas as well. And, you know, not only have we been able to, you know, translate the expertise of our staff here in the UK to overseas, but, you know, we've learned a lot from those visits as well.
It's 20 years now, 2014. Actually, I think you've been here as long as Steve Gallen at QPR, haven't you?
Yeah, I think me and Steve were probably, you know, started around the same time. Obviously, Steve was here a little bit earlier as a young player as well.
Yeah. But what have we got to look forward to now for the coming months, the coming years at the Trust?
Well, I think going forward, I think this year in particular, we're obviously celebrating the 20 years, and although we can't release the details yet, we're looking at a big event to celebrate that in the shape of a dinner probably. We're really close to securing the venue for that, and we hope to make an announcement in the next few weeks. We've got another really exciting project this year as well, which is called The Story of QPR, and QPR First, the Hoops Fund, have supported that, and we're really grateful to them for that. And we're training young people in the community in media skills, in how to use a camera, how to put a program together, and the end product will be a television standard documentary about the changing community around White City, but through the journey of QPR, and also what it means to the people in this community to be associated with QPR, and how the area has changed. So it's going to be a really interesting product that we get at the end of it. It's going to be a series of podcasts that go with that as well, which we can then take into local schools to teach young children about the history of the club, but also the social history of the area.
Now, sitting here, just very quickly, sitting here now, 20 years ago, did you think you'd be sitting here talking about it the way you are talking about it?
No, and I spoke to my staff this morning to say that, you know, I was coming on here tonight, and I did look around the room at the staff, and, you know, to see the progress they've made just in the last few years, and, you know, the different skills and the different events and activities that are involved in. You know, we keep saying, you know, the Trust has come a long way, but there's an even more exciting future ahead of us, particularly with a potential new training ground and a new stadium as well, which the Community Trust will play a huge role in being a part of.
And I know, very quickly, I know it's just fantastic.
That's too very quickly.
It's too very quickly, but I think it's just fantastic seeing you still here, 20 years on, and still looking to go forward and building upon it. And that's great credit to you. And I know you're saying that next year, so don't get too red.
Thank you.
Just I know we spoke to Armand, and Armand said that promotion, they're still very confident. How important would promotion be for the Trust in terms of backing?
I think the promotion would benefit us.
Open up a few more doors.
It means that we can access some more Premier League funding. We do still receive Premier League funding, even though we came out. We've got 4 Premier League funded projects that we currently deliver. But being back in the Premier League does raise the profile. It does give you more opportunities in terms of new projects that you can get involved with. But in saying that, it's important to also remember that, you know, regardless of what status the team are, that the challenges that our young people in particular face in the local community that surrounds here, for example, are the same. It doesn't matter whether the club is a Premier League club or a Championship club. The challenges at community level are going to be the same. So, you know, our commitment to making a difference in the community and creating opportunities and providing programs that help people, particularly young people, fulfil their potential, you know, that doesn't change.
And the players play a key role as well, don't they? Because it's all well and good your coach is going out and delivering these sessions, but if there's some player involvement as well, it hits a real point, especially more so with the youngsters and maybe the older guys. But if you can get 1 or 2 players attending events like you have done this week at the soccer schools, that certainly goes some way to assisting.
I think it's really important, you know, it just helps us to reinforce any messages that we're giving to the young people. But I thought it was a credit to our team, to QPR, to us as a club, you know, after a really tough Sunday, you know, with the result. The following day on Monday, we had Andy Johnson and Junior Hoylett come out to soccer camps, and you know they were brilliant with the kids. I mean, I saw a picture of 3 or 4 of the little 6-year-olds at the soccer schools hanging off Junior. They wouldn't let him leave. You know, they loved seeing him. And we've had 4 players come out onto visits this week alone. And I think the other point is that, you know, once things settle at a club like they have now, and we've got a consistent squad, you know, you're able to build relationships with those players, and certain players want to get involved in certain projects. So, you know, I think we're very fortunate at the moment with the group we've got, and it was a credit that they came out this week in particular after a tough result.
£6,900 and counting. I'm looking for some guidance from behind the scenes if Brian's going to be wearing a Spark costume next week, but they're both ignoring me at the moment. Tiger Feet 5 this weekend. We're walking to the Valley, me, you and 38 others. Let's go back on the point we made earlier. This is all to raise money for the Down Syndrome Tiger Cubs.
Yeah, I think, you know, for everyone who's watching tonight or tuning in, you know, the Tiger Cubs have really found a place in the heart of QPR fans, and, you know, 5 years on, it's important that we do continue to fundraise. It's grown massively. It's gone from being just a club where the kids play football to one where we do cookery classes, we do tennis sessions with them. We're developing an adult section because some of the kids that we first started working with are becoming young adults. So we need as much funding as we can so we can continue to expand that programme. And what we're grateful are is to everyone that is supporting us at the weekend. But, you know, please keep donating, because that money makes a massive difference to not just those young kids with Down syndrome, but to their families as well.
We're £10 away from seeing Brian in a Spark mascot costume next week.
Right, turn the phones off, everyone.
We've got the £10.
I think we've just got it.
One of Andy's friends who's joined us in the studio.
You don't get change.
He's giving £20. It's just going to be handed to me. So I'm delighted to say this £20 will now see the bald eagle himself dressed as Spark next week. But yeah, in all seriousness, an absolutely fantastic cause, yeah. And we're all looking forward.
I wish you best of luck as well for the walk.
Thank you. I'm sure there'll be a few blisters come Sunday morning, but it'll be worth all the pain.
Good luck.
Competition time. We've got the winner. It's at Jane Thrifty. Jane, if you want to get in contact with my colleague Adam Holm, his email address is adamh@qpr.co.uk. The correct answer was, of course, Adam Boulder. There he is celebrating. Remember that well that day, actually. I remember it took my colleague Paul about 5 hours to get to the game. He only had to do 20 miles to get there, but it took him about 5 hours, and it was my day off.
And he wasn't walking.
Well, I had to do the report from home and watching it on TV. It was an incredible day. But yeah, Adam Boulder got the winner. But yes, at Jane Thrifty, congratulations, you've won a signed QPR shirt. Guys, just switching the attention to this weekend. London derbies are always keenly contested, but you get the impression that this one's going to have a little bit more added spice with what's riding on it for both teams. They're obviously in 22nd place and staring down the barrel of what could be a relegation battle.
Yeah. Well, you know my thoughts from our standpoint. Must win.
Yeah.
As have been the last 5, 6, 7, 8 games. We've got to go in there with the right attitude. And Charlton, Charlton have been taken over. They've got new owners there, but it's had, normally when new owners come in, teams sort of turn it around. They haven't managed to do it. No. And I'm just hoping this weekend it's not going to be a weekend they do.
Haven't won at home. Haven't won in the league since Boxing Day against Brighton. Albeit that's a bit of a false statistic because they had a number of games called off because of the weather. I think they had some infrastructural damage there at the Valley, which prevented a couple of games going ahead. 3,250 QPR fans. That is some backing, isn't it?
That is...
Including us two.
Including us 40 walkers, but that is
252.
That is brilliant.
Because that could have wavered, couldn't it? 3 games, 3 disappointing results. I guess the point against Burnley will be viewed as a positive given the situation we're in the game, but the support could easily have wavered.
We've never been like that.
No, the QPR fans, they stick by their team, don't they, through thick and thin, and that showed in those numbers.
Very loyal following, and they'll make a hell of a racket over there on Saturday. And if the team can get off to a really positive start in the first 15 minutes, we could crank it up a bit and make a good atmosphere of it.
We'll miss Joey Barton. He's obviously suspended, which, as I said earlier in the show,
we did touch on it a bit earlier.
Yeah, leaves Harry with a bit of a conundrum. Who would you go with? I think he may well go with something like Henry and Jenas, perhaps.
Well, that's what you were just saying. Possibly he would. I don't know if he'll bring Tom Carroll back in. I'm not. Again, I don't know. Is he injured or?
No, I think Tom was just left out last week.
Again, we'll have one of those interesting ones here this week, and then totally left.
You're going to have the loanee conundrum as well. Obviously, we've got 8 players in on loan. We can only play 5, so there's going to have to be a decision made there as well. Away from all events at the Valley this weekend, Burnley against Nottingham Forest.
Has to be a draw.
Is that what you're hoping for?
I'm hoping I want it to be a draw.
Because that table's looking tight. Just looking at these other fixtures, Derby against Bournemouth, you'd expect a home win. Leicester against Ipswich, ditto, and Reading against Blackburn, probably ditto as well. So Burnley Forest, we could do with that being a draw, because I think on paper, the other 4 sides, and I include us in that, should probably be looking to win their games.
Yeah, they need to.
But by the raised eyebrows there, it's very unpredictable, isn't it?
Just concentrate on our own game.
Yeah, you've got no control.
Just worry about our own game and deal with our own. Let the other results take their course. Let's just make sure we go there and get the result we need.
I will just touch on this before we close. A little bit of housekeeping. Leicester v QPR is now been selected for live TV coverage. Same day, 19th of April, Saturday the 19th of April, but a 12:15 kickoff now for Sky. So I know that will cause a few headaches in terms of the travel. Like I say, it's a decision that is ultimately out of the hands of the club, but hopefully as many of you as possible will be backing us at the King Power Stadium,
this week.
Now known. Big games coming up.
And again, in front of cameras, I'm getting a bit fed up of the cameras, actually. I'm thinking of cancelling my Sky subscription.
I don't think the finance department are getting fed up. But like I say, it's a decision that's out of the club's hands ultimately. Finally, we've run over by a couple of minutes, Brian, but predictions for the weekend?
I'd like to see us winning. I think it's going to be a tough game. And can I sit on the fence on this one? Because I don't want to say we're going to lose. Okay, so I'm going to sit on the fence on this one.
How's the splinters?
Okay.
Yeah. Andy?
2-0 QPR.
I'm going to say 3-0 to QPR. I'm in very confident mood, despite all the doom and gloom with the bald eagle over here, but he'll be in a Spark costume next week, so we always have the last laugh on this show. Thank you for listening to London Calling in association with Equate.